Hello. Hey everybody. Still a little early, so not gonna start just yet, but just gonna kind of get things kind of somewhat started. Hey, hello Quinn. Oh, you haven't watched it? Um, that is a good question. What is it about? Um, This is a sisterly drama, I guess. It's like action drama set in like steampunkish type of world. I mean, it's based off of League of Legends, yeah. But I mean, I never played League of Legends, so I'm like trying to think if you've never played League of Legends, like, and you didn't know the characters, like I didn't know the characters, how would you describe it? I don't know. Like, if you know nothing about League of Legends, then it's like, okay, it's like an action drama. You know, if you like action, you like hype action and very uh straightforward drama. Well, it's well written, but it's like very straightforward drama. Like, you don't have to think too much, but you just like get hyped up by the action and animation, then I think you'll like it. Um like the art style alone I think is already worth at least checking out, maybe like the first few episodes. Um I have heard some people say like give it at least until episode 4, but I think about it, I'm like that's like half the season already. So I mean, that it's like just give it some time. It's like half the season, or at least like half of season 1. Working on improvements. Oh, okay, nice. You were in phase live stream. How was that? Wow, Kevin, did you just get that off of Wikipedia? This sounds like such a Wikipedia explanation. But if you came up with that on the spot, I'd be kind of impressed. I won't lie. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, if you've never played League, it's no problem. I feel like I was able to stick with it pretty easily. Like, I've never played League, and it wasn't because I don't think they really dive into anything that you would need beforehand, like any information beforehand. So you can go in blind. Yeah. Final episodes. Back of the box blurbs. You know what? That's true. That does sound like it. Yo, it sounded pretty legit. It sounded pretty good. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know for sure, but like the show is separate, right? They just have the rights to make the show. So I think, it's like Riot as a gaming studio is one thing, and then the animation studio and the people making the show are two completely different entities in a way. It's like how I would think about it. Because like even any other like adaptation, they get the rights to use the characters and they get the rights to use the characters to tell a story. But I don't think like anybody from the gaming side of things has any involvement unless they really want to. Like, yeah, unless the game creators explicitly decide like, oh, I'm gonna be a part of this. I'm pretty sure like most adaptations from a video game is like separate. They just get the final say on like what they can and can't do, I think. But that's pretty much it. Also, there's just some voice lines in the game, but that's just it. Yeah, I know they have like shorts for the game, like cinematics, but I don't know. I never watched them either. So I just went into the show, watched the show, enjoy it for what it is. Yeah. You're getting a tattoo? Oh, what kind of tattoo are you getting? I mean, if you don't want to share what type of tattoo, that's fine too. But that's kind of neat. That's cool. But yeah, Broken Wings, we did release the burger video, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. That is like a very quick breakdown of like how I painted, but yeah, we'll be starting soon. Maybe I'll write this down. Starting soon. I usually like wait right up to the minute, but yeah. The arm tattoo could be cool. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a little bit of difference between, well, I know that some people can't like separate the complicated ties some things have, but to each their own, I would say. But still, it's all to support and advertise. Yeah. Ouroboros on my forearm and oh, is it gonna be going around your like the circumference of your forearm, or is it gonna be flat on one side of the forearm? Like, so would we be able to see the entire Ouroboros Quinn, or is it going around, like wrapping around your forearm? I mean, either way, it's cool. All the way around. Hey, I like that. I think if I were deciding to get like an Ouroboros, I would have it go all the way around too. I feel like that would just make more sense than having it flat on top. I mean either way works, but yeah. How the how's the dog doing? Can I pet that dog? I love that video, that clip. Can I pet that dog? It's a 3D surface. Why would I not take advantage of that? That's also fair. Okay, so I think we'll get started. And for those of us who are just joining us today, or those of maybe I should say those of us who know who we are like Wing Canvas and like have watched our stream before, this is a little bit of the special out of the ordinary stream in the sense of like I usually only stream every other Sundays and it's usually animation focused, so me getting a chance to do something a little bit different is kind of nice. It's a little bit of like a fresh air. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. We're gonna be doing a more illustration, character design focused stream, which is not usually what I get to do all the time. So it is nice to have a little bit of like a change of pace, so to speak. But if this is your first time joining us, we do start off with a bit of an intro first, and then after the intro, then we'll go right into the stream. Actually, I just realized I don't think I'm gonna do the artist shout out, which I completely did not even think about if I should do or not, but I guess we'll skip that. But yeah, I guess we'll jump right into it. So hello and welcome to our special Friday Arcane stream. If you don't know who we are Wing Canvas. We are a YouTube channel where we make art tutorial videos on tips, tricks, and drawing advice to better help our fellow art nerds in this art community of ours. Our mission at Wing Canvas is to make art education easily accessible to everyone, so be sure to tune in live for free lessons every Saturday and Sunday at 3 p.m. Those are our usual streaming times, but today we have a bit of an exception and we're streaming a special one today. So yeah, today is a little bit different. But if you are an art nerd too, be sure to check out the links to our social media in the description below, and check out our website for class offerings where you can get critique, guidance, and encouragement from our instructors, because we're not just a YouTube channel, we're a school of illustration. And I also want to personally thank our incredible Patreon and YouTube members who support us in making free art education content possible. Members get access to tons of perks like exclusive chats with our creators, weekly live critiques on Discord, class recordings, digital art working files from our streams, and discount on live programs that have a limited amount of spots. So if you want to help support the channel or accelerate your learning, consider becoming a member. And so with that being said, we'll jump into the main event, and a little bit of a heads up, or I guess a little bit of a disclaimer in a way. I've actually never done any like Arcane fan art before, so this is going to be a fresh deep dive into the style, and so you guys can all see me kind of figure out and try to see like what's kind of hidden underneath behind in this art style, and like how I would approach analyzing something that I've never like drawn before. So in terms of like the character studies, like the forms, the shapes, the anatomical structure that they're using, lighting and color. I'm gonna hope that we can run through all of it. And so, yeah. So I'm gonna kind of run through just how I would typically approach analyzing an art style that I've never done before. Luckily though, Arcane does use a little bit more of a, I would say, structured art style in the way that they draw characters, so it's not too far from how I typically draw, so hopefully it won't be too bad. Yes. Oh, Nightbot is finally working. Yes, Kevin's got it down. One art nerd. So I've gotten already, like, ahead of time a lot of the draw, like, art pieces or pictures, like screenshots and just like some pictures from Pinterest, so I can roughly see what the art style is. And because we're going to be designing a character and I want to make a character in the style of Arcane, I think the first thing I'm going to be looking at least is how they draw characters. And so when I zoomed in, I grabbed a bunch of different characters. So I didn't want to just focus on one type of character, because every character has like maybe a slightly different face shape. They might have a slightly different approach to the bone structure and everything. So I got a bunch of different characters just so I can see how they approach designing the overall skeletal structure, let's say, hidden underneath all the kind of gloss of lighting and rendering and everything like that. So, yeah. Well, you gotta go? Oh, okay, no problem, Gummy. Thanks for joining us in the beginning, though. Again, what a nerd. Oh, Lycan Arts is here. Did Kevin say that you can't join us? Oh, no, you can join us. Okay. So, that's kind of what I did. I grabbed a bunch of different images, and I would say that this is kind of pretty key for if you are analyzing an art style, is not to just find one character that you like specifically, but find a good collection of different characters. Find some that all look slightly different from each other, and if you're going to be trying to study the art style and the way they draw characters, I think the quickest way to just judge is ask, like, do they do it in a cartoony style or they do it in the realistic style? And I would say, like, if I drew like a meter, let's say, like real and let's say cartoony as one of the other extremes, yes, I am using Krita. Actually, a little bit of a heads up spoilers for later on. I'm actually not going to be using Krita to render. Mind-blowing. So those of you guys who usually watch my streams, everybody always asks, like, oh, which software do you use? And it's always like Krita. This time I am going to change it up a little bit. You'll see which program I'm going to switch to afterwards, but I'm just going to do a quick demo first, or like analysis on Krita. Is it Rebel? Yo, Quinn, how'd you know? But yes, it will be Rebel. So if we're gonna think about like art style being between realistic or cartoony, I would say that, and like, let's say this is like dead middle, I'm gonna put Arcane roughly, like, it's pretty close to the middle. I kind of want to say it's in the middle, but I'm gonna be like, it's roughly like here. It leans a little bit closer to the realistic side. I will say in the end it's kind of just subjective on like what stands out to you and how you feel about it. But the reason why I like to gauge this is that I kind of know how to approach going in. So when I'm starting to draw like the face structure and like where to place the eyes and like the three-dimensional forms of the face, do I go for it more realistically or do I go for it more cartoony, which can be like any shape possible, and like the facial features can kind of be anywhere. So by having this kind of scale in my mind, I can kind of gauge already right off the bat how to go about approaching it. So because Arcane is leaning more on the realistic side, I'm putting it over here for Arcane. For me personally, you might disagree and be like, no, it's right in the middle, or it's closer to cartoony, or it's closer to realistic. But for me, I'm gonna say that it's closer to here. And the reason why I say that is just due to the fact that as I'm looking at all these characters, I'm noticing that they're using very realistic structures to lay out how the characters look. So maybe I'll lower the opacity for this one. But what I'm noticing, especially for like the nose, is what I spotted this, or where I spotted this. And that is they're relying on very structured nose, like under like the underdrawing of the nose. They're relying on very realistic nose structures. Whereas if you look at anything like anime or even Western cartoons, like maybe Kipo, if those who don't know what Kipo is, I'll maybe look it up really quickly. So this is Kipo. This is just an example that popped up in my mind, but for example, Kipo does not rely on realistic facial structures or anatomical proportions. It's relied more on like style and the exaggeration of forms. Whereas if I go to Arcane, I'm noticing that like, oh, there's like the whole eye mask is here, the brow, but not only that, but like the spacing of proportions are reliant on kind of what we expect out of a Loomis head structure, which is broken up into thirds. So because of this, and because of all the underlying structure that I can see with like how they're adding like the mouth kind of pads or like the muscles around the lips and around the mouth, it clearly right off the bat, it says to me that they're relying a lot on the human anatomical structure that is needed to create the human body. So because of this, that is why I'm like, okay, it's closer to realism. It's on the realism spectrum rather than cartoony. But then it's like, oh, why is it not on the complete realistic side? And that's because they're still doing things like making the eyes bigger. They're still kind of smoothing out like the facial structures a little bit and just exaggerating and stylizing it a little bit more, so it's not too realistic. Like the way that the eyes are rendered, the size of the lips, the eye size, even body structure, it's not completely realistic. They're just pushing it a little bit more. So that's why I'm kind of like leaning it closer to like right in the middle. It's not quite super realistic, but kind of like close to it. So that's kind of how I'm analyzing it and trying to understand it. So because now I can kind of see that they're going for a more realistic structured approach, how I'm going to approach the drawing and how I'm going to approach the character is going to be from a very technical standpoint, to break down the underdrawing, to break down the structure of it. And then when we get into the rendering, maybe then I'll come back and show you like what are things that I'm going to be looking for in terms of coloring and lighting structure, so that we render it somewhat close, or as close as I can get it to the Arcane approach. Because as Kevin knows, and any of our frequent regular viewers of my streams, they'll know that I usually run out of time when it comes to the streams. So I'm going to try to get to the rendering part and hopefully have enough time to render it so it looks somewhat close to the Arcane style. But we'll see how much time we can get. So for drawing, I guess we'll just go right into the character that I actually already designed. So because I knew this was going to take some time and I wanted to give myself enough of a chance to get the whole thing done, I actually already came up with a character and I kind of designed it already. But I think what I'll do is I'll work backwards and show you kind of the steps that I did to figure out the design of the character, so you can understand how I got to the design that I had. So, whoops. Okay, so now we have what Quinn spoiled, or maybe I wouldn't say spoiled. I was like, Quinn figured it out already, which is that I'm going to be using Rebel to draw the characters. It just has a little bit more of a textured look to it, which I like a little bit more. Allows me to have it a bit more rough, and I don't know, has a nicer finish to it in the way that I like it. Maybe it won't look exactly the same in terms of the finish as Arcane, but for personal art-wise, I think that's what I like. You don't spoil, you're not Kevin. Yeah, don't worry, don't worry. Okay. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Cool. Okay, so maybe I'll, yeah, okay, I turned that off. So this is the character that I designed ahead of time before stream started. Obviously, this is still just like the rough drawing. I haven't gotten to cleaning it up per se, but this is the character that I'm thinking of working off of. Still might tweak it over time as I'm like rendering it and drawing it, but this is close to what I'm aiming for. And like I said, I'm gonna kind of walk back and kind of show you what my thought process was as I was designing this character and like how I structured it, because again, if we go back to like what I wanted from Arcane, or what I noticed from Arcane, is that they're very angular. And something else that I also really noticed is that for the guys, they really like to accentuate the jawline and kind of like the cheekbone areas. Obviously for like Victor, maybe he's a little bit more scrawny and gaunt, so it's a little bit more prominent, but everything is a lot more like bonier, and like the jawline's a lot more prominent for the characters. So that's kind of what I was going for when I did this guy over here as well. And if anybody does have Rebel, unlike Krita though, Krita is free, Rebel is not free, but if anybody does have Rebel and they want to kind of follow along to a certain degree, I am using just a charcoal liner, which is like the pencil tool up here on the upper left, and then on the under charcoal I'm using charcoal liner. So it looks something like this, and then if you zoom in, it looks like a pencil crayon almost. I am also using a cold press watercolor paper, so I think it does just leave a little bit more of a textured finish in the pencil work, or in the line work, I should say. Yeah. As we all know, the jaw is what's defined the man. Yeah, the jaw was a big part. So I'm just gonna walk backwards and in a way break down kind of what I was going for. So when I started this drawing, I started off with the cranium. Of course, you can kind of still see it. I'm not gonna try to draw a perfect circle, but it was something like this. Something like this, I think. Like that. And then I started off by getting the overall face shape that I wanted. And I think originally when I drew this character, I had the face a little bit smaller. And then I realized like, oh, I kind of want him to be a little bit older, look a little bit more kind of adult rather than like a teenager or a young adult, so to speak. Like still in a way young, but he's not like young, you know, like some of the kids or like the younger characters in the show. I wanted it to be like somewhat maybe 30 or like late 30s, 40s-ish, that kind of age range. So this is the head, and you can also kind of see here, I've left it behind a little bit, but there's a little bit of like the side plane here. So this was kind of important in understanding like what are the angles and the dimension that I wanted for the head shape going in. And then obviously I also mapped out the midline, so I knew the angle that I wanted the face to follow in. And some things that I'm making sure that stick with the middle line are like the middle of the nose, like where the nose would connect back to the face, the center of the lips, kind of like there, and then also making sure that the eyes feel somewhat even or balanced out. And then I think the next thing I did was to map out the eye mask. Usually I like to map this out so I can relatively guess and see how much space I'm working for or working with when the head is turning. So if I turn off the drawing that I already did, this is kind of what I was working off of, and I'm trying to figure out the structure first. So I was actually spending a good amount of time doing this first before I got to the actual drawing. Oh no, whoops. Yeah, so that I spent a lot more time figuring out the structure first before going into the actual drawing. And then from that point on, I was kind of just playing around with like, oh, what are the eye shapes? You know, where's this person going to be looking at? And I did this first. I basically just kind of went like, oh, okay, what angle is the eyes looking at? What shape is the nose? I didn't want him to have like a perfect kind of like, I don't know, swoopy, perfect, clean nose, like button nose or anything. So I wanted it to be a little bit more crooked so to speak, very similar to, or maybe I'll bring, actually, no. Very similar to kind of what I'm seeing on like most of the characters. Like you'll notice like Caitlyn has that nose bridge, like right over here. Right over, oh, right over here. Like there's a little bit of that nose bridge happening. And so that means like when she turns her head in a 3/4 angle, you're gonna see or notice that kind of like nose bridge. Same thing with Silco over here too. You'll notice that it has a little bit of like a bump right over here. And so that means like when he turns his head, you'll notice that it sticks out a little bit. So even though he has a very long pointed nose, his nose isn't like a perfect swoop that we see a lot in like maybe anime or anime type of characters or cartoon characters. Their nose structure is following a lot of like realistic nose bone anatomy that will be there. Jinx is maybe the only one that has a softer bone structure in the nose, but even then you can kind of see that they wanted to indicate it, like it's still there. So if I like flash, go back and forth between the reference image and like where I'm outlining the nose part, ignore the eye, but like if you look, the nose bone is like right there. It's like right here, basically. So because of that, when I went into my own character, whoops. Oh, thank you, Rebel. Actually, I think it's more my tablet does this thing. Okay, cool. So when I went into my own character, I wanted to make sure that my character also had a bit of this nose bump there as well. So when I'm figuring out the structure of the whole face, I was trying to keep it in line with how Arcane would be doing it. And I think that's pretty much it. And then everything else is just working off of design. So I figured out all like the structure and like roughly the proportions. I definitely tweaked some things. I think I narrowed down the head a little bit on the back. I extended the face a little bit longer and made the jaw a little bit more square than usual. But yeah, and then this is where we get our main kind of design, or the final quote-unquote design for the character. So right now what I'm going to do is that hopefully in the next 30 or so minutes, I'm just going to be focusing more on cleaning up the drawing, and then after that I'm going to be coloring it in and hopefully be able to color and finish it up in like an hour or so. But yeah, doing that flashing thing seems show accurate. Sure, yeah. Okay, so gonna turn the opacity down for this one, and then I'm gonna create a new layer, and this is gonna be our cleanup layer. And for our cleanup layer, I think I'm gonna be using not a full, like maybe not black, but maybe like a dark blue gray. Maybe not as blue. Maybe I might have it a little bit on the grayer, like a really, really, really dark gray. Okay, so you guys will kind of get to see my drawing process. I might be just zooming in quite a bit, but I'll try to remember not to. It's just that typically when I normally draw, I do zoom in and rotate the screen a lot so that I'm drawing at the most optimal angle as possible. But now for the drawing portion, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat, and I'll try to get to it if I see it. If not, maybe, I don't know, maybe Kevin might pin it, but I'll try to catch it as best as I can. Oh yeah, and then this character as well, he's not like a normal human character, I guess. I think I was kind of going for like, because in the world of Arcane, they have like some creatures, like not every character in there is a human character. So I think my intention for it was to go for a very kind of like a beast, almost like a werewolf type of character. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty cool. Looks kind of worn down in a way. Actually, you know what? Arcane does have a little... Okay, so I'm kind of thinking if I should commit to the outline, because Arcane doesn't really have any outlines. So I'm thinking maybe we should just go for it. You know what? I'll go for it. We'll just go into it. I'm not gonna bother trying to outline it. And okay. So we're drawing. Okay, and then this, I'm gonna make 2 layers. One is gonna be the back layer. And because, so the reason why I'm doing this, having a background color first, is because Arcane uses a lot of like atmospheric lighting and a lot of very dramatic, yeah, just very dramatic lighting. And so in order to have that dramatic lighting, I'm gonna need a background color so that the lighting can stand out. So I'm just gonna call this background. Good old background color. And I think I'm just gonna keep it in this pose and at this scale. We're not gonna do a full color, or not a full character. I'm just gonna be doing a hold up. Trying to find, oh, here it is. I'm just gonna be doing a paint, more closer to just like a painting study. So let's go. Should we go all the way? No. Maybe I'll just keep it to like here. Can it not extend? Okay, sure. It won't extend. That's fine. Let's see. We'll do a dark color. A dark fill. Dark fill. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think I might just lengthen it a little bit. I think that's good. Alright, cool. Reptiles or mammals as pets? I've never thought of having a, you know, I know people have reptiles as pets, but I've never considered having a reptile as a pet. If that makes sense. Also, I guess the downside right now that I'm gonna have to consider is that I have not put any consideration as to like what color the character, like the color scheme for the character, like what color is the jacket, what color is their hair. I was gonna think like maybe more wolf type of colors, so like maybe dark brown or dark gray for the coat, but we'll see. We'll see where we go with this. If that's the case though, I might change the background color to be like a more red color so that like the dark jacket stands out a bit more, but we'll see. I am just gonna maybe block in everything with like a gray first, so I can see everything. Yeah, I'm not gonna be doing any fancy coloring, so. Just gonna block it all in. Hopefully Rebel does not crash on me, because the thing with Rebel is like it uses up a lot of memory, and sometimes my computer does not have as much memory as I think it does, so we'll see. Also, I kind of just made up the jacket, so I spent a lot more time on the face than I did on the jacket, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Just gonna quickly block it. Oh, Fruity, you're back with them animation questions. Oh, I realized that it has the texture of acrylic on it. Oh, that's because I put it as oily. Whoops. You know what? It's fine. Whatever. I lowered the oiliness, so maybe it won't be as oily anymore. You know, maybe the color streak's kind of neat. We'll keep it. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of cool. We'll keep the streakiness. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a little bit of like streakiness in it. And I was not intending for that, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see if we... Oh, I mean, I went for it, so I guess it's there. Let's see. Let's clean this part up. We are going to be... The hard thing about this is that I am going to be treating this kind of like a painting, essentially. So... yeah, we're going to be... If like the outline or like the shape of the rendering isn't like super perfect, that's kind of okay, because painting is not perfect. You can't have like gaps and everything, so should be fine. Actually, the sword's in the back, so that's okay. Full, let's do it. Yeah. Lizards are awesome, but a smart cat is an easy pet to keep. That is why I have heard a lot of people prefer cats. Kevin, I have a dog. What do you mean I don't have pets? I have a corgi. And you know, it's funny because he's kind of more like a cat, so he's actually pretty easygoing. He's not too hard to maintain, actually. So he's pretty chill. He's a lone wolf. Yes. Definitely some charcoal in there. I could have used charcoal, I guess. That would have been flatter. Yeah. How oily is digital artist? Yeah, that is a funny thing to... yeah. OBS, yeah, that's true. I mean, at least hopefully the stream's not too, like, glitchy or slow. But I know for sure Rebel does kind of chug if... I don't know. If you don't have enough, like, excess memory to use, then it can be a little annoying. But I'm sure everything will be fine. I mean, I could try markers. I feel like pastel honestly wasn't too bad. It's just that it leaves a little bit of like a powdery look to it. Actually, you know what? We'll go with that. We'll mix we'll switch to the pastel, change it up from oily to pastel. Let's see how that goes. I think because due to the limitation of time, I'll maybe spend a little bit more time on the face and not too much time on like the other stuff, so that I can like fully render the face as much as I can. But again, we'll see how much time we have and how far we can get it to. It's pretty much just coloring it in. You didn't have lunch? Dang. You know what? You should just grab a fruit. Fruit's fine. Honestly, though, I feel like I always end up just snacking. Like, I grab some chips before dinner time. And it sucks, too, because, like, as you get older, you can't eat as much anymore. Like, buffets, no longer a go-to. All my friends are like, yeah, should we go to all-you-can-eat? And everyone's like... it's not really worth it anymore. Can't eat that much. You don't have fruit? What? That's crazy. Okay. Let's see where to go. Actually, you know what? Where did my mouse go? Okay. I'm going to not clip it. There's no need to clip it. So then this way... actually, should I... whatever. We'll keep it the same. We'll keep it the same layer. There's no need. I think for the wolf... Okay, wolf hair... I think we'll make it like... we'll make it like we'll make it black, like near black. And then I'm gonna also have to keep in mind that I have the underdrawing. So right now we're just kind of fleshing it out. We're just trying to get it all marked down as quickly as possible. And then after I block it down, maybe I'll go into like the lighting, things I've noticed from lighting from the show. I will say, like, as like a, I guess, teaser for like what I noticed is that with Arcane, they have a much more like graphic approach to the rendering. So everything has a lot of like sharp angles, very easy to see the planes and like the face planes that are there and all the shapes that are there. So it makes it easier to kind of see how the lighting is wrapping around the head. Yeah. Using mixed paint, I know I'm rendering the charcoal on top of the oil paint, and it's interesting. It's got an interesting finish. We'll see how it looks like. Buffet, okay, but I don't know. Like, I'm thinking about it now. I don't know if I loved buffets as a kid either, though. Like, buffets were cool. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if I liked. They were never like my. Do you know what it was? Is that you have to go and get the food. And I think that's why I didn't love. I think that's why I didn't like love buffets. It's because I had to go and get the food. And I'm like, yo, I gotta go and get the food. That's whack. Trying to figure out like what color to paint my guy here. I'm thinking like an ochre type of a color, maybe. I don't know. Let's trying to test out some colors. We go like more green. No, that's kind of weird looking. Let's like this maybe. Oh, also to be fair, I guess it kind of does not help that I used a blue, like a blue gray to color the skin. So so if anybody hasn't heard of this before, there's a palette called the Zorn palette. And essentially, if you guys have ever done like projects as kids before and you used a green, you remember in the dollar store how they sold those like neon bright green Bristol board papers for you to do like presentations on, and then if you ever like put your hand on top of the green board, your hand turned like magenta, like red or pink. That is because of like this effect that kind of happens with your eyes, where it kind of like tricks your eye into seeing different colors. So the same thing happens with the Zorn palette, and the whole theory behind the Zorn palette is, I believe, you avoid using certain colors, and I think green was definitely one of them. I haven't used the Zorn palette in a really long time, so I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but it's like you are working with a very limited palette. And the way that you go get green is that you actually use black and yellow. And so if you have surrounding elements that are like red or like kind of blues, it tricks your eye into seeing a certain color when it's not actually that color. And I realized like me coloring it like this kind of yellow color with a blue fill around it is going to make it maybe appear greener than it actually is. So I don't know, we'll see how it pans out. Okay, and then jacket, let's see, this is a good color. We're going very earth tones. Isn't it only red, yellow, and black and white? Yeah. So like you don't, oh, so there's no blues. Okay, yeah, so it's a very, very limited palette basically. But like if you're painting something and it has like green in it, let's say, it's like, oh, but I don't have blue, how do I make green? or like how do I make something look blue, and you're supposed to be trying to like trick your eye into thinking those colors are there. So like using black to get blue. I know it sounds really strange, because black is kind of, most of the blacks that you get, I guess a little bit of painting theory, if, even though we're doing an arcane study, a little bit of painting theory. Black, most of the blacks that you get is called jet black, and jet black is more blue oriented. So meaning that like when you get a jet black, it's more of like this black. So you see how on my color wheel it's on the blue side, but it's more blue, which means that when you mix it with other colors, it's going to lean more on the cooler side. But there's actually a black called lamp black, which leans closer to like the warmer colors. I don't know which exact, like red, orange, or yellow, but I'm pretty like it's on the warmer side of the spectrum. So it's called lamp black, but like unless you're really getting into color theory and you're really serious about painting, it's like something cool to experiment around with, but most people, you won't need to worry about it because you'll never bother with it in general. But it's just like a cool little tidbit, cool little bit of side information about colors and everything. Okay, so the one part that I was kind of stuck on when I was designing this guy is that I was like not sure how his hoodie would be. So he has a hoodie. Oh, maybe the hoodie can be more gray. We'll make the hoodie maybe like a... Oh, by the way, I am using Echo's character design as kind of like a kind of like a reference guide. So I'm kind of basing it off of his outfit, so a more like grungier street kind of like type of vibe instead of the more royal and like upper class look that the above ground people have in the world of Arcane. So that's kind of what I'm going for. So I'm using Echo's costume and outfit design as kind of a guide, essentially. But I realized like I gave this guy a hoodie, and when I was designing it, I was like, I'll figure out what to do with the hoodie afterwards. But I guess I'm still figuring it out. I don't know what to do with this hoodie, but we'll get there when we get there. So right now I'm just breaking things up into pieces first. I've gotten this as before as a question, which is like when you're designing a character, like how do you approach it? And for me, I like to break it up into shapes first. So a lot of times we can get kind of caught up in like all the details and be like, oh, I want to give my character this element and like this trinket hanging down, and I'll, give this person this haircut. But for me, I like to zoom out first and go like, okay, what does this character look like in blocks? So in shapes, like what stands out about this character and how can I tweak it from there? Now, obviously, I only have 2 hours, so I can't tweak too much, but I'm still going to be working off of shapes. I'm still going to be working off of like the different segmentations in the drawing. Yeah, sorry, I've been not reading chat, so I'm just going to catch up now. What's with the Friday stream? Oh, we're doing something different today. Yeah. Puddle water has ran out. What? Isn't Arcane made with 3D animation painted to look 2D? Yeah. This time we're doing it different. We're drawing 2D and painting it to look 3D. It's crazy. Yes, and I am too lazy for buffets. You're telling me I gotta work for my $60 worth of food? I don't want to do that. Or $50. I don't know, $40, $50 Canadian, by the way. So I don't know how much that translates to an American thing than more of a social status. I feel like maybe more recently buffets do feel like it's like a rich, like it's a bougie thing. Whereas I feel like beforehand, maybe in like the 2000s and like early 2010s, it was like a cheap out kind of meal. You eat a lot, get your worth that way. But I feel like now it's the other way around. He looks like an ogre, right? Yeah, right now he does look like, maybe I'll just lean into that. We're all Friday through Monday. Oh yeah, I guess in a way, yeah. Do I hate self-checkouts? Okay, self-checkouts are fine. No, but okay, like food. You know, like most of the time you go into food, I'm expecting, you know, like service, I guess. I'm not expecting to serve myself. But for buffets, it's like, oh, you're gonna work for your food. I don't know. And the selection is never that much. Also, I think it's just I'm so intimidated to going out for food, like going out to the vendor to ask for food. Sometimes, you know how they will like, oh, here's like steak, but you can't just grab the steak and go. You gotta ask the person like, oh, can you give me like a sliced piece of steak or something? I don't want to talk to the guy. But then in order to get steak or like the brisket or whatever they cut for you, you got to talk to a person. And I'm like, I don't really want to don't really want to talk to anybody just to so I can get food. That's just my like social anxiety-ish. I don't have social anxiety, but like you know what I mean. Like, oh, I gotta talk to somebody. Oh my goodness, you know. I don't want to work for my food, then what are your thoughts on? Okay, but that's different. See, like that's an experience. Like the cooking part is the experience. And hello, Joanne. Yo, Joanne made it to a stream. Oh, that's crazy. Okay, I guess I have very picky restaurant like needs or habits. I don't really want to talk to anybody when they come and bring me like if I'm going to a buffet, I don't want to talk to anybody. But like if I'm at a restaurant, yeah, I'll talk to the waiter, but I don't know, I'm not like super chatty with the waiter if I'm talking to them. Does any of this make any sense? It feels like I like completely socially just separated from the whole restaurant experience, but I just don't want to. Okay, it's just more buffet. The buffet, I don't want to. It's weird. I don't know. The other thing too is like, okay, for all the Canadians out there, have you ever been to or not Rich? Is it Rich Tree or Marche? I don't know, Kevin. Do you or like Joanne? Do you guys know this place? There's like Peach. Is it Peach? No, it's not Peach. Is it Rich Tree? It's like Rich Tree or Marche, and it's basically it's like a market. It's the interior design is like a marketplace, and it's not a buffet. It's like a pay as you go, but you basically go up to these different vendors and you ask them for the meal and then they'll make it for you kind of, or they grab it for you and then you pay for it afterwards. So it feels like a buffet, but you are still paying for each individual thing that you get. So if you eat a lot, you're going to pay a lot. If you don't eat too much, then you don't have to pay too much. Yeah, I don't know if it's still there, but that place, as a kid, I was so intimidated. It would be like my parents were like, yeah, you know, you go up, ask them for food, and be like, what? I gotta go up and I gotta talk to people? I gotta talk to people and ask them for food? What? That's crazy. I don't want to do that. But that's me. I just don't want to. I don't know. At a restaurant, it's fine though. Like, cause that's normal. That's the culture that's cultivated. You know, you talk to a waiter or the waitress, and you like ask, you tell them about the food, and you order your meal and whatever. But I don't know. Buffets are different. I mean, like I don't mind going up and getting my food. It's just like, why can't they just serve me? You know, I want to be served. Okay, I'm also not too sure about the clothing designs, so might do this. Actually, jacket, I think we're gonna lean it closer to the blue side. So, just gonna put on lock transparency, and I'm just gonna quickly change the color of the jacket to like a darker blue. And yeah, don't worry with like the costume, there are like buckles. I know it's kind of hard to see in my like really clean line drawing, but Arcane has a bit of like a steampunk look and aesthetic to it. So a lot of like there's these tiny little elements in the costuming and in the designs that lean very much in that steampunk aesthetic. So I will be adding that afterwards, but for now I'm just blocking it in and making sure like what are the different elements and how am I separating them and all that. I think actually inside here too, he has a little bit of like a color that like dark blue as well. Okay, sounds like a night market. It can, yeah, I mean, maybe not a night market, but it definitely is like a market feel to it. Let me see. You know what? We'll just color this one like this for now. Wait, did I say someone say, if you're being served, you are allowed to talk to you? Man, you gotta make me sound so like, only the, if you're worthy, can you talk to me? Lots of Europe doesn't respect sushi. Oh, I like sushi. Sushi's great. Said, what places are you going to that doesn't have fresh sushi? Oh, does Europe not have fresh sushi? That's interesting. Is it fresh then you're getting food poisoning? Yeah, I mean, like, you could eat it, technically, but at, like, I feel like at a risk. In a way. You're kind of like, you don't know how long they've preserved it or, like, been holding it onto it for. You don't know, like, where it's been. It's definitely risky. Okay, this is gonna be the hard part, which is kind of cleaning up, because the line work isn't completely there. Okay. Okay, I guess I'm gonna start coloring the face then. Let me see. Let's bring the background back. Okay, it's not too bad. It's okay. I'm gonna bring in the details on the face now, though. Okay. Maybe I'm gonna lower the opacity a little bit more. To make it easier on myself, I'm just going to block in like where the shadows are, like the shapes of the face. So very similar to like Arcane, I'm just going to map out where the face shapes are. And I'm probably gonna go for a more, like, I'm gonna block out the shadows and the different planes on the face, basically. I think I'm also gonna go for like that good old 3/4 lighting, because can't go wrong with 3/4 lighting. And yes, it's gonna be kind of harsh, but we're just gonna go with it for now. So that I have something to work with. I think it's like if you weren't here my last stream on like the weekend, something I said was it's best to block in something so you kind of know what you have to work with, because then after that you can kind of start building off of that. Because if you have nothing, then it's harder to figure out like what you're missing and what you need to add. But if you have something to work off of, then you kind of have a better understanding. It's like, oh, okay, I need to add this, I need to put this over here, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sure, something like that. Package. I mean, I think it just depends on like where you get the sushi in the end, Because, yeah, you can get, like, not pretty decent sushi, even if it's, like, packaged, but it depends on, I think, like, where you get it from and how old the sushi is. But, I don't know. I'm not a sushi expert, so I'm not going to stake my claim on what makes a good sushi good. Like, it's fine. I enjoy sushi, but I'm not like, yeah, sushi. Woo! Mm, uh, oh, yeah, if it's from Japan, then that's fine. Yeah. You wouldn't touch it if it was American? You know what? I've never had sushi in America, so I also cannot say how it would be like. I feel like in Toronto it's pretty I want to say like for the most part you can kind of trust it because we have a lot of Asian run like locations and restaurants, so I feel like I want to say it's usually you can trust it. But again, I don't want to stake any claims on it, least just in case something doesn't pan out the way that it's supposed to. But we'll see. We talk about sushi and art. What's an itame? Josh is an itame? What does that even mean, Kevin? What have you deemed me as? Oh man, I'm so used to like Krita shortcuts that the the Rebel shortcuts are throwing me off a little bit. It's like an it's like a little emo little dwarf werewolf guy. His hair. I was actually trying to go more for like, okay, I don't know if anybody's checked out this new anime. It's called, or not anime, manga, Kagurabachi. Yo, it's pretty good, but like one of the characters there has like this haircut that's kind of like this, and he's like the samurai, like he's like really good with the sword. I mean, they're all really good with the sword, but he's like exceptionally good, and that's kind of the hairstyle I was going for. I don't know if it's panning out necessarily, but we'll see. We'll see as we get to like closer to rendering it more and more. This is a little bit too, I don't know. Well, let's bring out the chin a little bit more. So yes, I've turned off the line work just so that I can now focus on like whether I got the shapes of the face in the way that I want it to be. Um, and like over time, as I'm like drawing more and more, I'm gonna rely less and less on the line work. I'm still gonna use the line work because I still need to see what I'm drawing for like the details, but over time I'm gonna be relying less and less on it. Kagurabachi, yeah, Kagurabachi is so good. I'm so sad that it only has like 50 or so chapters, and I'm like, I need more, I need more. But it's so good. Like the action scenes and the fight scenes, oh, it's so good. I feel like if anybody's like not too sure, this is probably the best time to jump into it because it literally just started. Like there's only 2 volumes I think available to get, so it's really new, but it's so good. It's so good. Oh my goodness, the action in it, ooh, the fight, like the foreshortened poses that the guy draws in, oh, it's so good. Let's see the black hair. Okay, dark eyebrows. I think I'm not gonna go as dark. We'll just do a little bit. Not as dark though, just a little bit. Similar to the main hair color, but not as dark. And then the eyes, maybe we'll go for like an orange color, because I've noticed that in a lot of the like arcane eyes, everybody's eyes are so colorful. They're just so like bright and glossy. So you know, yeah, we'll go with like an orangey kind of eye. See, maybe that's too bright. We'll go a little bit darker, slightly darker. Maybe something like this. Let's see. Here is my dude, slowly coming around, coming together. Oh man, I'm missing so much chat. Sorry, guys. 7-Eleven NA is aligning with the principles of 7-Eleven Japan? Whoa. I mean, like, oh wait, we discussed this. But the thing is, like, I don't have any 7-Elevens near me, Kevin, so it's useless. I can't take advantage of the 7-Eleven. Tesco has branches? What? Since I'm on dad's phone. Okay. Kagura Bachi is peak, yes. Yes, it is. Your art is great, by the way. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Wait, Bleach? You've never read, like, Bleach before? Like, okay, it's not OG, but, like, it's not that old. You can get into Bleach and it's not, like, that bad. Okay, I want to see how they approach eyeliner. Okay, it's pretty dark. I will say that it's pretty safe to make the eyes for my character also dark. So, let's do it. Hopefully this doesn't ruin it. I'm more of a line art person, so we will see how much this affects the drawing. And obviously, of course, gonna be able to tweak it afterwards, so I'm not too worried if it doesn't look that great right off the bat, but might have to tweak it a bit afterwards. And I'm also trying not to be too heavy-handed with the line work, because it is not too heavy-handed in general. Let's see. That's not too bad. It's coming together a little bit. Got about an hour now. The only manga source. Okay, I read that. I got volumes 1 to 4 and 0 for Christmas. I'll be getting 5 to 9. Oh, for JJK. Oh man, JJK, the line work. Oh, I don't know if Broken Wings is still here, but he did say that somebody released or somebody made brush pens similar to the brush pen or like the line work from JJK. Dude, I love, like, I will say his face drawing, not the best, but his line work, I feel like makes up for it, for me at least. Okay. Trying to see if there's anything like color wise, if I should adjust it. Okay, I think I'm gonna maybe do this for. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, I feel like you're just gonna hear me saying that a lot. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I immediately need to like psych myself up and be like, yeah, keep going. This is looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. It's not bad. Keep going. Let me see. I guess I should make the shirt like even darker then, since this is like in shadow, kind of. I know right now it's like not very much in the Arcane style, but I mean, like, look, rendering process takes some time, so you're gonna have to give me a little bit of some patience before it like looks anything remotely like Arcane, probably. And you know, it's because Arcane has a very high rendered aesthetic. No, Quinn, don't eat the pretzels. There's gonna be too much food. He looks like a vampire. I mean, I was kind of going more for that type of look. I did say like, oh, maybe like a werewolf kind of look, but we'll see. Oh, whoops, that's not the color I wanted. Okay. Okay, so I think this is pretty, like I said, I think I will really only have enough time to do most of the face, but just to go back, we're gonna analyze some of the colors that Arcane does use. So for me, right off the bat, like when I first started watching the show, what stood out to me is like how angular all of the lighting is. So if we look at, I'm gonna use, I forgot her name, but what I noticed is like they like to really define this a lot. And then like the shape of the eyes, like the shadows underneath the eyes that are happening here in the eye mask, they like to emphasize that a lot. So that's what I meant when I said like they use a lot of dramatic shadows, and like everything is very clean cut out from the face to like highlight the shapes. Like even here, like you'll notice like it's very bright on the left side here, but then you can clearly see where the temple, the side of the skull is, and then they chisel out almost like the side of her face over here. And they pretty much always do that whenever they get the chance. Obviously, they don't have to do it all the time, but you can kind of see it. And once you start seeing it, that's kind of what gives it that very chiseled, carved out graphic look. And again, maybe I should clarify, when I say graphic, I don't mean like violent graphic. I mean graphic as in like the graphic shapes. So very angular, very geometrical. Like you'll notice it that they use this all the time. Where there's shadows, they try to go for these very angular, defined shapes on the face whenever they're able to. And that's kind of, for me, what makes Arcane feel like Arcane. But there's also another thing, which is that they have a lot of rendering to it as well. So if you look at, maybe we'll go back to, actually, maybe we'll use Caitlyn. So there's a very sharp defined plane, but you'll notice that like very, very close, right next to it is another mid-tone, or maybe not mid-tone, but it's like a transitional tone. And this is how they get a lot of the gradation that's happening. So even though they're clearly cutting out like the shapes of the faces, right like next to it, they might put like a in-between transitional tone, or they'll do like a rolling gradation across the face. Like you can kind of see it here. There's a little bit of like a rolling gradation. And I don't know if that's like a texture map that they're adding to it. I don't know if it's just them letting the lighting come through on the 3D model itself, or if they're manually painting it on. But either way, it's kind of like this formula or structure that they've kind of stuck with, and they definitely do lean into. So you'll notice again on like Echo, very cleanly defined, sharp kind of shadows on the face, and then right over here is like a medium transitional tone. Like right here, very sharp cut, and then right over here is a transitional tone. So it's almost like layers. It's never like a flat, like graphic or cartoony, maybe I shouldn't say graphic, but it's not a flat two-tone or cel-shaded look. It has a little bit of a cel-shaded look to it, but they have so many like different values and transitions that are rolling across the look of the face that I don't think I could like, that's why it doesn't have like that full cell shaded aesthetic to it, because they're using like kind of different layers of lighting. Like you can clearly see it on Mel's face here again, like that sharp, but then right here you can kind of follow it. There's like this transitional lighting that's happening, and so because of that, it makes it feel softer, and it gives it a very distinct kind of painterly look to it. So even though it is 3D, someone did mention, it's like, oh, it's 3D but meant to look painterly, and part of why it looks painterly is because they're following the shape structure that is there, but then they're adding like one more value or tone so that it's not as harsh or it's not as sharp, and that it's a bit more like transitional in the lighting. So that's what I'm gonna try to aim for. Oh, actually, yeah, we can use Kippo before we go back to the drawing. You see Kippo, how it's like it's very sharp. There's no like in between lighting in between. It's just one value and then second value, and that's it. But if you look at Arcane, there's like a bunch of values happening, even though it's very cleanly defined. What they're doing is like they're adding these like subtle rolling or one more layer of value so that it's not as sharp or it's not too flat like it usually would be for a cartoon painting. And yeah, so we'll go back to ours. We got a long way to go, but we got a few more minutes. Yeah, it's a lot of contouring. Gojo or Nanami? Oh, did someone ask who is my like favorite JJK character? JJK character? Oh, ooh, jeez. Okay. You know what? I feel like I don't really have that many. I don't have that many. Oh my goodness, what is happening? Thank you. I don't know what's going on with Rebel. Okay. I shouldn't say it's Rebel because I feel like I've had that problem having with Krita as well, where I'm working on one program and then all of a sudden switch to another program, and then the stylus goes haywire and it's like coloring all over the place, and I'm like, I didn't make those lines. Well, what's happening? You know. So, even though I just said that, I'm not going to add just those transitional colors just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the light, maybe the lighter values now. So I'm going to go a little brighter and a little bit more saturated. And we'll see how well this goes. And I'm also considering like, oh, where the planes are. So like there's the cheek plane, there's basically contouring. I'm doing makeup contouring. So if you've ever done makeup before, this is very similar to contouring in a way when you're doing like makeup and you're like trying to map where things are. And I'm just gonna make this slightly darker down here for the nose. Maybe like and we haven't really gotten to any blending yet, or at least I haven't really gotten any chance to go into blending, but whoops. We'll see when we get there. It's like maybe this. Oh. I feel like it's maybe too bright, but again, we'll just play around, see where it brings us. feel like I usually don't get too much into the shipping. I'm not. I don't know. I feel like after. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, you ship whatever you want to ship, I guess. I feel like after middle school though, it was just like this. I just I don't know. Never got back into it. I think like it was like a thing when I was in middle school for like Naruto and like Bleach. You know, everybody was the whole. At least like everybody in my grade was always like, oh, who's gonna get with who? You know, like the whole love triangle phase that everybody had kind of has. Like the same thing happened with like Twilight. You know, Twilight. It was like, oh, who's Bella gonna be with, and everything. And I feel like after that, I feel like it kind of died down for my generation. But that's why I'm kind of like, like if you like shipping and you like the whole kind of, I don't know, it's your thing. You know, you go do your thing. It's just not for me. Basically, I'm just trying to say it's not for me. It's not a thing that I like really give much thought into. Oops. Yo, how'd you know? Yo, ships exactly. Hate boats. Boats, number one enemy. Boats. Man, all this painting like this reminds me of like what is it? Back in university when I'd be like doing like gouache painting or something. I do also feel like with maybe it's too green. I feel like with the arcane style, it's much more like saturated in the colors. Keep pressing the wrong buttons. I'm so used to the way like Krita is set up for shadows. Gotta add those contour lines. Heck yeah. How could I hate bullets? I know, right? For love interest, it would be made clear. Yeah, maybe. Sans under, oh my goodness. The thing I think about when people say ship. I'm trying to think like I think the first time I ever heard the term ship was when in like Korra. That's the first time I heard of it. Ship sells comic and you can never decide. What? Yo, what's happening? What is this combo? Yeah, let's take a look. I kind of want to see how they render eyes. Let's see. Oh, there's like a black outline around it. Oh, I never noticed that. That's kind of neat. It's kind of cool. Okay. I don't know if I can get my brush size small enough to outline it. Okay. It's like, this is dark. It's kind of weird because I think I made it too, it's too even. Let me see. I'm gonna make it darker over here, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think I might have made it too like thick of an outline, maybe. We'll see. I'm also missing the highlight. I know I haven't put in the highlight yet, so we'll get to that. And the highlight, ooh, let's make it like on the bluer side. Is it just pure white for the highlight? It does look like it's just white. I guess we'll just make it white. Oh my goodness, I keep pressing the wrong button. No. All that color picking. Let me see. Okay. Obviously, it's not really gonna look like much because I haven't rendered the other stuff first. Okay, the eyeshadow. Okay. Let's get some eye lighting going on. Should we, you know, maybe we, should we do it yellow? Or should we do it blue? Maybe we'll do it blue. Sorry, I'm kind of like gotten all focused in, so I might miss a few comments here and there, but I will take a look. I've been like taking a few breaks every now and then while painting and to look at your chats if anybody is saying anything, and then I like try to get back to it. But if I'm missing it, don't be sad. And I think I'll make this bit slightly brighter. It's looking okay. Eye shape might be a bit off. I know it doesn't have that like glossy look that the show has. I think it is because we're using a more textured kind of surface. So there is that aspect of it. Eye placement. Dang, Quinn worked on 2 whips? How many did you finish? Those jokes. Quinn, you got it. You can do it, Quinn. Or do you kind of prefer like the discouragement of like, you don't have it, Quinn. You will never be able to finish your art pieces, and then like that's your motivation. You're like, are you the type where it's like, oh, I need discouragement to encourage me? Or are you the type that needs like encouragement? Yeah. You need both? Okay, I guess. I guess that's a valid statement. You need both. I feel like I guess I can agree with that. I feel like I'm kind of in the same boat sometimes. Okay, maybe I shouldn't look at Jinx because her eyes are always bag. Okay, actually this is something I noticed. Every character has bags under their eyes. And I'm like, how come everybody's eyes are like baggy? Like there's always shadow under everybody's eyes. Like what's up with that? Nobody has like a good a good night's rest or a good night's sleep. Everybody has been having a hard time in life, in the world of Arcane. Has had a proper day's rest. Proper day's rest. Oh my goodness, can't speak. I'm just like, oh, I gotta draw my guy with like baggy eyes too. Then everybody's gotta have baggy eyes. Trauma can be tiring. Yeah, yeah. Oh, actually, I guess this is a little. If anybody wants the art book's on sale, I think, right now. So in Canada, it was like $80, but it's on sale right now for like 40% off, which I'm like, yo, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good deal. That's not bad. That's not a bad price for an art book. $50 for an art book's not bad. This might be a bit too dark. I mean, obviously everybody has their budget, but you know. I'd say that that's pretty good. The price for the art book, I mean, not my painting. My painting still needs quite a lot of work, but yeah, it's coming together. I know, right? That's actually pretty reasonable, and it's like it includes both seasons, and it comes with this like transparent slip case. I'm like, you know what? For $40, well, okay, not 40. It's like $50 after tax. It's like that's actually not bad for an art book, because dude, art book prices have been going up like crazy lately. I don't know what's going on with art book prices, but yo, the companies have been going ballistic on how expensive they make art book prices. I'm just like, hey, excuse me, no one can afford these art book prices. You know, have you ever considered maybe lowering the prices down just a little bit? You know, like it's I think it's a little bit too much these days with like the prices of art books. It was a little bit too much. I noticed this thing too, is that they outline the shape of the nose. So we'll see if I outline it. I don't know. We'll see how that looks. Yeah, like it's weird because I think back then it used to be like maybe 30, like $40 at least. That was the normal price for an art book. $40. Now it's like, yeah, I feel like the base price now is, I want to say maybe, I don't even know. I can't even gauge, like maybe like 50 or $60 now. Like even the God of War art book, I was like considering that one, and that one was like also around the same price, like very very expensive. And I was just like, what is happening? Why are you so expensive? You shouldn't be this expensive. So it's sad. It's like can't buy my art books. Yeah. I would buy Josh an art book. Honestly, I was on the fence about the Arcane art book until I saw that it was on sale, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm grabbing this. You know, like I still stick to it to this day. I like one of my favorite art books still, and is like still my go-to, is the Tangled art book. Like that book has such a good wealth of just like information in it. Oh, it's so good. If you're on the fence about any like art book and you're like not too sure, I highly recommend the Tangled art book. It might sound kind of like funny to be like, yeah, the Tangled art book, but trust me, Tangled art book is solid. It's a good, very good art book. If Tangled's not your cup of tea, though, trying to think what else. What else is a really good art book that I would recommend? Actually, I don't know. Spider-Verse is good, but I feel like that's kind of everybody's go-to. Oh, Missing Link. If you've never, Missing Link is actually a really good one. It's the Leica. It's from Leica Studios, from like Coraline and everything. Nobody watched that movie, but the art book for Missing Link is actually surprisingly very, very, very good. The artwork in there is solid. Very good stuff. But nobody watched that movie, unfortunately. It's which is kind of sad because it's not like an exceptionally amazing movie, but I think it's pretty good. When is your crit day? Oh, mine's on the 30th. Would you buy? Yo, I would love an art book. And you should surprise me. You could get me whatever, and I'd be happy with it. What is it? Missing Link? Oh, somebody else also watched Missing Link? It's honestly, it's a fun movie. And the art is like really good. Oh, you made progress? Nice, nice. Like to hear it. One day, Quinn, you just gotta give like a little quick kind of presentation on the Alex Ross piece. Because you spent so much time working on it, you have to give like a presentation on it now. you can't just we can't just let you go and not have you like give a presentation. Yo, geckos are cute. Yeah, geckos are awesome. You know what? I think I made a mistake. I should have given this guy like a normal skin tone so that it would have been like easier for me to figure out what skin tone to give him, because I'm like, oh, I should like lighten up his skin tone or like make it more saturated. But a more saturated skin tone would be like more green, and I feel like I would need to experiment a little bit more to figure out whether or not I can go with a very green skin tone. Let's go. Ooh, let's use the blending. We'll use the blending. Let's see, paint and blend. Yeah. So like, was it Rebel kind of has a natural blending mode on it, so I think I'm just gonna try blending things just to start kind of smoothing things out. Maybe we'll make the eyebrows just get a little bit darker. And maybe a little bit thicker, so they stand out a little bit more. You see, this is, you guys, for those who are like new to it, Kevin and Quinn sometimes make fun of me for having a mirror in front. But guess what? This is the perfect time to have a mirror. Joke's on you guys. Having a mirror is great for this type of scenario. Because I can quickly check like where lighting should be. I have a mirror and I have a light. I can quickly check like where things should be. So, joke's on you. Hey, I feel like I get called out for having a mirror, you know? I'm like, yo, well, there's nothing wrong with having a mirror. I'm also using the picture of Victor as a bit of a guide on lighting. Because he kind of, the one I have in front of me kind of is similar in terms of lighting scheme, so I'm kind of using it as like a quick guide. Oh, interesting. Okay, I see that they also use like this little bit of like an outline underneath the eyeball. Honestly, I feel like if I got a little bit more time, I feel like I would spend a little bit more time on this. Because this could be really cool. So I don't think we got about like half an hour left. I definitely don't think I'll be able to do it justice and making it look exactly like the Arcane style. But I think that this is not a too bad of like a good block, like starting block, and kind of gauging where to start. So for me, in terms of like painting, if I were to ever do something like this, I would kind of say that this is like the starting phase of trying to block in roughly where the shapes are, where the colors are going to be, and then also like where the direction of the whole piece would be going in. And then once I get that down, then that's where all like the blending and all the blending and like the fine-tuning details would go in, because yeah, it'd be a little bit ambitious to try to do all this in like one go, but it's not bad. I would say this is not too bad of a first start. Got the shapes there. I think I might have gone like some of the proportions off for the structure of the face, so I might change that a little bit. Because like as you like, it's different to paint something, and then it's different to it's one thing to draw it, and then it's another thing to paint it out, because when you draw, you're kind of like focused on more like the line work, and then when you paint it, you're more focused on the three-dimensional shapes that you're building out. And I feel like, well, as you paint it, you realize like what needs to be adjusted and what needs to kind of be shifted over in a sense. And so I'm realizing now that maybe I might have gotten the face just a little bit off on the left side plane of the face, so I might have to shift that over a little bit. Now Nightbot fails. No. Oh, hello, Cupcake. Welcome back. I guess you're not on your dad's phone anymore. It's jokes. Okay. Let me see. I also feel like I might have gotten the eyes a bit too close. I'm gonna like just quickly shift it over a little bit, so I have a bit more space. I guess I could lasso tool it, but I feel like I'm too lazy to lasso tool it right now. Whoops. It's looking a bit better. Yeah, I mean, so like my thing too is like, so I'm more of a painter, and so like in the drawing, I'm like, oh, this is what it looks like, right? This is what the drawing looks like. I'm like, this is not bad, and I think if I had the time, or like maybe because originally I was like, oh, I'm just gonna clean up the drawing on stream and then paint on it afterwards, and then I realized like, oh, Arcane is more of a painterly style, so I'll do like a painting of it instead, but like it looks fine here, but then as I'm like rendering it, like proportional issues are kind of showing up, and those kind of things are like two different muscles to work on, and I'm more of a line artist, so sometimes it's like certain things work out. It's weird how like, yeah, some things will work out um line work wise, and then other things might not work out. Like it's different when you paint it. So yeah, because you're defining it less with lines and you're defining it more with colors. And yeah, kind of like what you said, it takes a little bit of time, but I would also say like it's like a different muscle that you're almost kind of working and training, because I'm more used to training. It's like working like only arms, let's say, and then all of a sudden you got to work on leg day, and it's like, oh man, I'm not a weak guy. I just never work on leg muscles. And that's how it feels like with rendering for me. It's like I'm more of a line work guy. So like I will confidently say like my line work, like I'm pretty solid with line work. But when it comes to rendering and coloring, that's a part of the muscle that I haven't worked out quite too much. That's why like I usually just do like rendering studies, like studies, still life studies. Oops. Oops. But I'm also making this up off the top of my head too, which is not not easy, by the way. So like I don't have any reference for like what the shadows would be, and I have to kind of make this up off the top of my head. And I'm basically in a sense carving his face out while I'm figuring out the anatomy for it. So yeah, it's tough. It's like a back and forth kind of thing going on. Mess up. There's no way that's some family thing. I don't think you could say. Well, I mean, maybe sure. I feel like it's. I don't think you can say that like messing up drawing proportions is a family like thing. I never heard of that before. As a joke, though, that's pretty funny though. I think it's more just like a skill everybody has to practice. But that's kind of just how I see it. Is like practicing painting, but not only painting, but like painting off the top of your head, like making things up. Like I'm essentially making this guy's facial structure up, and every shadow and plane that I draw in defines and changes the way he, like, this character looks. So like how I push in the cheeks on one side of the face will change the way the cheeks need to correspond on the other side. And it's kind of like a balancing act on both ends. And that, I think that's where the tough part comes in, especially if anybody ever wants to tackle like painting and rendering out a face. It might look good on the drawing, but then when you paint it out, it's different because you're essentially shaping it out. When you're painting, I feel like it's more, you're closer akin to like a sculptor rather than like a draftsman is one thing, and then painting is like a something else. Let's see, how does it look? I also only have gone to the face too, so I think I would definitely like to take my time, maybe like after stream, and kind of like clean it up. because I think this would be kind of cool to see a more painterly version of like the Arcane style. Even though technically Arcane's already in a painterly style, I feel like it would be kind of neat to push it even more in a painterly style. Yeah. It's a form of denial. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, I'm not saying this for you too. I'm saying this for me as well. Like sometimes it just comes down to like, oh, maybe I just need to touch up my anatomy knowledge, and it's like, oh, and then another time it's like, oh, I just need to touch up my perspective knowledge. Like it's a bunch of just like, oh, I need to work on this. I need to tweak this, and sometimes it's not just a rendering thing. It's like just an understanding of anatomy and like pushing it to the test and seeing how well you know it and whether or not you can like execute it or not. Oh, oops. I'm trying to see how I should paint the other side. Okay, the other side. Oops. Also, I would say like it's completely different too. Like it's a different skill to be able to render and do like a still life study compared to doing a painting, a real life painting with no reference off the top of your head. Like that's a completely also different skill to practice. Because if you could, I would say like, yeah, I'm pretty solid at like studies, but then like making it up is like also just completely different. And I'm like, yeah, I can do a painting because I can do studies pretty well. And then it's like, oh right, I have not worked out like my making up things off the top of my head muscle in a while. So I need to like shape this out differently. But on the stream I will post like both things. I'm gonna post the under drawing, so the drawing that I started off with, and then I'm also going to post the I'm gonna post the this painting as well. So I'm gonna post both just so that you can kind of see like where everything kind of started from and where we're kind of going. And then maybe sometime like next week I might work on it, because little surprise, we got something brewing video wise. Not gonna say what it is, but we got something brewing, and that might take some time, so might not be able to get to finishing this up or cleaning up this drawing over the weekend, because gonna be working on that other video. Oh, what the? Ooh. Oh, what? Oh, did I change it? Oh. Jokes. I accidentally pressed the wrong button. I was like, why is it glitching out? No. This is looking a bit better, though. The guy, not Josh. What? Your ears are too small? Are they? I think they're okay. I think I might have just made them a bit too high. Because technically... What is it? Yeah, maybe I've made them too... Well, I made them high. I guess they're a little bit too small. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I haven't gotten to the ears yet. That also might be, like, a proportional thing. Like, I haven't quite gotten to it yet. Oops. Why can I... Oh, okay. But thank you for pointing that out. But yeah, ears are strange because I haven't really gotten... I did not get a chance to get to it yet. I guess. I mean, that's an interesting opinion. I can see where she's coming from with the whole like it needs to be different. I don't know. I think that's just a design preference in the end. Well, I don't know. I don't. You know what? I will say I don't draw enough fantasy characters to have a strong statement. But for now, I will say I respectfully disagree. But I'd see her point because I think for me it's like, oh, it comes down to like the character's overall design. Because then if every character has like a large ear, does that mean like every fantasy character with a different ear shape should have a large ear? Like, oh, you know what? Actually, this proves my point. No, no, no. I know this is a cool rabbit hole actually. Treasure Planet. What is his crap? I forgot his name. The main bad guy from Treasure Planet. His ears are not big. What's his name? Silver? Is this his name? Silver? Treasure Planet. Captain Silver? Is that his name? Long John Silver. Yeah. Where's a photo? Man, there's not a good photo of him. Oh, I would love the art book from like Treasure Planet. That would have been so good. But see, this is what I mean by like I think like it doesn't really matter if the ears are big or not, because it kind of comes down to character design, like overall character design. Because he has a pretty small ear, but then everything else is larger, so it's kind of off balance by that. So I wouldn't, in terms of like a discussion, even if you're teasing me or not, I think that's kind of like an interesting point. I've never thought of it like that. Where it's like, oh, you should make every ear big, but I'm kind of like, but should you though? I don't know. I think it does just come down to like character design and how you want to push it. What does it lend, like how does it lend to the overall design as a whole? But I do agree that like maybe for a character like this, because I am giving it the more typical like this elf-ish wolf creature design, like it lends itself to having a larger ear. But it's an interesting point. It's an interesting comment. They're okay at this size. Oh, did she say elf? Yeah, I guess is like in the end ear sizes vary, but yeah, I didn't really consider too much about like, oh, the size of the ear. I was more just like, what yeah, we'll just give it pointy ear for now. Actually, originally I was gonna draw that bat character that's in Arcane. You know how there's this like bat kind of character that's there? I was thinking about designing a character that looked like that guy, but I was like, nah, I don't want to. I don't really want to go for that kind of style. Don't ogres. Definitely, he's an ogre. Do ogres have big ears? I feel like ogres have somewhat small ears, don't they? I don't know. Oops. I feel like this is like a whole like rabbit hole. You can does it's like subjective debate. It's like what do you think is a better design? And it's like there's I don't think there's any right answer, but it's like fun to debate and discuss. It's like, oh, what do you think would work best for like this type of design, or what do you think works best for this type of a creature kind of discussion. I always love discussions like that because it's like there's no right answer. There's no right or wrong answer. It's more just like, oh, what do you prefer? And then like you just argue for you just argue for the sake of it and just like see if you can argue your point. Lower? I don't know. Because they can't hear. Josh talks. Wait, what? Who wants to timestamp this video after we're done and post the comments and pin it? Kevin's just like, I will delegate responsibility. This might be a bit too big. This like muscle padding around his mouth. It might be too puffy, maybe. Too puffy. Yeah, I feel like the initial kind of issue started more with like the eye distance rather than the. I will say, like, I forgot the guy who brought it up, but whoever brought up was like, oh, like the proportions thing. I will say, I think for me, what I've noticed is like when I draw, the proportions look correct, but then when I render it, what I have noticed is like usually I get the proportions slightly off when I'm rendering it, which is annoying because it's like, dang it. For using a mirror, I like that. Yeah. Oh, I don't use Procreate unfortunately, so I don't really know. But smoke effect, I mean, I feel like it kind of comes down also to just how you paint it. I mean, the smoke effect is essentially just transparency and how you like what you decide to show and kind of like the going in and out fluctuation of like what's bright, what you see through it and what you don't, and kind of like the variations that you add to it. And I feel like that's kind of where the smoky effect comes from. But brush wise, I don't use Procreate, so unfortunately I can't say. So I think it's just as long as you find a brush that allows you to convey the smokiness, then probably fine. I mean, isn't the season ending in like this weekend? I feel like the season's over by this weekend. By the way, who hasn't watched it yet? Is anybody not caught up on it? I literally watched it. Like, I watched it all. Watched like half of it on Wednesday. And then I was like, oh, I'll just like space it out. And then I ended up just binging it on over like yesterday because I was like, oh, this is so good. I just want to know what happens. And then the next thing I know, I'm like done. I'm like, oh, whoops. I was not supposed to finish it. Or I mean, not that I wasn't supposed to, but I kind of wanted to space it out, and then in the end I didn't. It ended up finishing it. So it was that happened. Paid to what? I wish. Yo, that'd be nice. Like, get paid to watch TV? I don't want to do that. Oh, this area. Okay, I think the mouth is looking a little tiny, so I'm just gonna... Oh, it's 5 o'clock already, dang. Also, what is happening? I don't know why it's... Oh, okay, now it's painting. That was weird. Okay, I think we'll... There's so much to work to do for this piece. Dang. I also think like maybe I shouldn't have done it on Rebel. I think Rebel made it too painterly in a way that I was not really intending for it to be, and it kind of changed the look. Although, you know, it's whatever. Also, like everything else around it's not painted, so it has like this very unfinished look to it, which it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, I guess. I'll paint a little bit more, but then I think after that we'll probably just call it a day, and I'll try to finish this on my own time. I know I say that a lot of times where it's just like, oh, you know, I'll work on this again, and then I don't because I don't have time, but we'll see. Part 2? I mean, if you don't mind, sure, I wouldn't mind doing like a part 2. That way I can like hold off onto it and like continue it again, because I feel like I want to do it. I would like to do it justice. I mean, if you want to set up a part 2, I don't mind. Would we keep it on the same time though? I guess we would have to keep it around the same time instead of changing it up and whatnot. Are members exclusive? Oh, dang. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Okay. Okay, I guess we'll end it here. Unfortunately, did not get a chance to really like finish it up. Obviously, doing a painting of a person gonna be a lot harder than just trying to like wing it. But here, this is what it originally looked like. Line drawing. This is why I'm a line artist. I'm more of a line artist more than a painter. But we got a lot to go for because I did not get a chance to add like the scar, like the little face thingy that's there. I didn't get a chance to add that there. So yeah, but as usual, I'm just gonna read the stream closing statements, and then after that, I'm gonna call it a night because it is 5 o'clock, and well, it's past 5 o'clock now, but we're gonna call it here. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining our stream. And as I mentioned in the beginning, or I guess unless you missed the beginning, if you don't know who we are Winged Canvas, and we are a YouTube channel where we make art tutorial videos, tips and tricks, and drawing advice to better help our fellow art nerds in this art community of ours. Our mission at Winged Canvas is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. So be sure to tune in live for free lessons every Saturday and Sunday at 3 p.m. I know it's not Saturday and Sunday, it's Friday, but we will also be streaming on Saturday and Sunday. So basically this weekend. So definitely tune in for those streams as well. And if you are an art nerd too, be sure to check out our social media in the description below, and check out our website for class offerings where you can get critique, guidance, and encouragement from our instructors. Because we're not just a YouTube channel, we are a school of illustrations. And I also want to personally thank our incredible Patreon and YouTube members who support us in making free art education content possible. Members get access to tons of perks like exclusive chats with our creators, weekly live critiques on Discord, class recordings, digital artworking files from our streams, and discount on live programs that have a limited amount of spots. So if you want to support the channel and accelerate your learning, consider becoming a member. And as a little bit of a heads up, mine is on Saturdays, so I will actually be hosting a live critique for VIP and OG Art Nerd members from our Patreon membership, and it'll be going live on the 30th. So if you guys want to sign up for that and get some live critique from me, that's when I'll be going live. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed the stream. I know I did not get a chance to finish it, unfortunately, but you know, we got a good, decent blocking done. And I don't know, maybe Kevin will let me know if we're going to be doing a part 2 or not. If we do a part 2, then I'll hold off on this. If we don't do a part 2, I'll maybe just like continue working on this kind of on the side on my own. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining us, and I hope you all have a good weekend, and I will see you next time. Oh, whoops. See you next time. Okay, bye-bye.